அது அட USB கூடவா? இது நிஜமாவே ஸ்டார் தான்ப்பா.
Best in class performance plus உங்களுக்கு பிடிச்ச ஸ்மார்ட் ஃபீச்சர்ஸ். TVS Star City Plus.
முத்துவோட அம்மா சொல்லுவாங்க, அதாவது நீ வந்து உன் ஜாதகப்படி நீ வந்து ஒரு ஆளை கொன்றுவ அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி. ஸோ அங்கே ஆரம்பித்து அவர் துப்பாக்கியை எடுத்துகிட்டு போயிடுவார். ஸோ செகண்ட் ஹாஃபில் அவரோட தாதா சொல்லுவார், அண்ணாச்சி சொல்லுவார், இது மாதிரி நீ துப்பாக்கி எடுக்கலை, அந்த துப்பாக்கி யாரை வேணுமோ அதை வந்து தேர்ந்தெடுத்துன்னு சொல்லுவார். ஸோ அதே மாதிரி ஒரு நல்ல கதை வந்து அதுக்கு தேவையான ஆளுங்களை எடுத்துக்கும் அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி கௌதம் மேனன் டைரக்ட் பண்ணது, உங்களோட சினிமாட்டோகிராஃபி அண்ட் AR Rahman சார் அண்ட் சிம்பு. இது எப்படி நடந்தது? வென் யூ மெட் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் GVM சார், இந்த ஸ்டோரி ஃபஸ்ட்டு நரேட் பண்ணாரா இல்லை யூ ரெட் த ஹோல் பவுண்ட் ஸ்கிரிப்ட்?
Firstly, I'm very honored to be working with such great people. These are people that I have seen growing up, learn from them literally. For example, in the 1990s when Roja came out and all, I was like a kid, right? I was like maybe 8 years old or 9 years old. And I remember going to the theaters with my family to watch Roja. And the next year I went to boarding school. Anga, I was in 6th grade. And the 12th standard kids used to call me every night after dinner and made me sing Chinni Chinni Asha. I have a decent voice and all of that. And from that, they nicknamed me Chinni. So I think all of us have these beautiful stories related to Rahman sir. And then when I was in college, obviously, I watched Vinay Thandi Varuvaya, after college.
2010 நினைக்கிறேன்.
எஸ்.
ஸோ அந்த படத்தில் கூட ஒரு லீடு ஒன்று இருக்குது. அவரோட கேமராமேன் VTV கணேஷ் சொல்லுவார் சிம்புட்ட, இது மாதிரி எப்படி ஒரு நார்மல் ஆள் வந்து பில்லா ஆறாதான் கதை அப்படின்ட்டு. அதில் கூட ஒரு சிமிலாரிட்டி இருக்குது சார். என்னென்னா சேம் டிரெக்டர், ஆக்டர், வேறு ஆண்டனி தான் எடிட்டர், AR Rahman சார். நீங்கள் மட்டும்தான் புதுசு. கட் பண்ணால் 1 decade யூ ஆர் இன் டு திஸ் ஜோன். ஸோ
Yeah, I have very strong memories of watching Gautham sir's films. I know exactly where I sat in the theater when I was watching Varnamayiram. In fact, yesterday only I met my friend and we went and watched Vettayadu Vilayadu, first day, first show. I was an aspiring filmmaker at that time, and obviously his films are genius. I mean, after working with him, I totally understand the genius that he is. Gautham sir, he's not normal. He's like he's very good at his craft. And as a cinematographer, I think I'm blessed to experience it at a short, close proximity. I feel totally blessed, and I do believe that, like how I think I saw an interview of SPB sir, where he says that every song has a singer written on it and all of that. So I do believe that, I don't know if what every film, but I think that some films can only be made. They just have to happen. And I don't think you can design it. It doesn't happen, it's God, and, he's the one who writes all these things. So I truly feel blessed to be a part of this project with all these great people. Yeah.
ஸோ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் நரேஷன் போச்சா இல்லை நீங்கள் ஃபுல் பவுண்ட் ஸ்கிரிப்ட் படிச்சிங்களா?
இல்லை. So Gautham sir works very organically. Like I feel that, so I come from a different school altogether. So I went to Europe to do my master's in 2017, and I came back in 2019. I've done a film before that. I've done a few projects before that. A movie called Lucia. It was critically acclaimed, and it's a crowd-funded film in Kannada. And after that, I felt that something was, I had my own journey to learn, and so I took this opportunity to go to Europe and study. So in Europe, how it works is that it's very, filmmaking is very, what do you call it? Academic.
Okay.
Academic. Theory. So everything is just, not that they're bad films, they're great films. They do make great films even there. But they're more of like, there's a method to it. Okay. There's like proper. So that's what, I'm a very method-oriented person. I went to IIT to do my engineering. So it's more of like, everything is very theory-based. Systematic. Yeah. I think that's the right word. And I came to, I ended up getting into this project. And literally, 1 week before the project, I got the call. And I had a call with Gautham sir, say this afternoon. And tomorrow, I was in Tiruchendur or something like that. Tomorrow or day after. So it was like very quick. I literally ended up on the set directly. And I remember Gautham sir asking me, so how do you work, Siddharth? And I said, sir, I do preparation for 2 months. I do a lot of pre-production and all. And he's like, okay, we're shooting in a week. I'm like, I mean, I was quite, obviously I was quite amused and, shocked for sure. And I was like, but I didn't have time to react.
Okay.
I really didn't have any time to react. It was like, literally, we were in the middle of the pandemic. I was actually preparing for another Hindi film. And we did a lot of reproduction for that. And because of, it was supposed to be shot in London. And because of the flight ban, we couldn't go to London. So that kept getting pushed. And
Everything is because of this Muthuoda journey. நீங்க தான் பண்ணணும்.
I think it was obvious that I think I had to be a part of. I mean, on hindsight, I feel that it is, it's God's doing that I had to do this project. We plan our things, but in the end.
கமிங் டு பிளானிங் இப்போ அந்த ஒரு வீக் கேப் தான் இருக்குது அப்படின்னா செட்டிங் தி டோன் the location, all that, I mean, was it your choice or
yeah, so how it happened was that I ended up on the location in Tiruchendur, and sir gave me what I needed to know for that place, what I needed to know for that. I feel that in a way that was a little difficult in the beginning, but after that I went with it. It was like I was also discovering the film. I felt that there's a new way of doing, which I was not used to. Because generally in the earlier and all, for example, Lucia, I knew the script from beginning to end. So I knew, kind of figured the way how to do it and, followed that pattern. So in this, I was nervous, obviously, that I don't know what's going to happen. I know, okay, this, he goes to Bombay and there he ends up with the parota shop. But I felt that it was an interesting new way for me to work, where I was discovering the film as the time goes by. And I was also improvising a lot. And it put me in a place where I needed to learn. Okay. And I honestly believe that every day when we go to work, we need to learn something new. Something new you have to learn. Otherwise, you haven't done your work. That's what I believe in. And so honestly, working on VTK was like going to film school again for me. Because every day was a learning for me. Every day something new I learned. For example, when we were shooting Mallipu song, it was the first time I met Brinda ma'am. I was obviously like, what is this like, and she had some really kind words to say, a lot of advice to give me. Those few minutes with these great people who've done so much work as a young person, it really affects you in a positive way. And obviously they're there for a reason. Correct. Right? Because there are so many people who want to be, become cinematographers or choreographers or directors. Yeah. But only a few get to that position. And you understand why when you start, interacting with them or working with them. I think that's where I feel that, the learning of who they are helps. More than I think nobody can teach you cinematography. Correct. I mean, you can understand the theory, you can go to film school and learn the theory, but that doesn't make you a great cinematographer or a great choreographer. I feel that it's what's inside you and the people that you meet, and that really makes a huge impact on the way you function.
So what is the important skill a cinematographer should have?
I feel that one of the biggest things is absorbing your atmosphere.
Okay.
2 days back, I was watching an interview of Ravi Varman sir. Yeah. And I really admire his work. In Indian cinema, I think he's one of the people that I really admire, because his work is very glamorous but also relatable in a way. Correct. It touches your heart, right? So he was saying that whenever he enters a set, first thing he's observing the architecture. Generally what would people do is that they would start lighting up, putting lights inside.
நான் எக்ஸ்பெக்ட் பண்ணேன் actually cinematography na light ன்னு சொல்லுவீங்களோன்னு I was expecting that.
It's actually architecture for me, because we live in spaces. Like for example, we are in the studio. We know that there's black curtains here. There is roof is a little lower. So only when you light up for this architecture will the place become alive. So the film is not about just the actors, not the characters alone. It is the spaces that they live in.
Correct.
It's called mise en scène in French, in cinema jargon. I don't know French, but in cinema jargon, there's this word called mise en scène, which means that everything is
What is that, sir?
mise en scène.
Okay.
MISE-EN scene, SCENE.
Oh, mise en scene.
Mise en scene.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a. So I come from one of my greatest inspirations has been Jean-Luc Godard. He's a French filmmaker, and Francois Truffaut. And these are people who started the French New Wave. So it's a film movement. Basically, they took the film from the studios onto the streets.
Oh, okay.
In fact, Jean-Luc Godard
From
just passed
artificial
away
lighting to
a
the-
few days ago.
Yeah.
So it's like my teacher, you know. You learn like Eklavya. You learn like by observation.
I missed it, sir. He passed away. What do you meant?
A few days ago, just two days before VTK release, Jean-Luc Godard passed away.
Okay.
And it was obviously a very emotional moment for me because I've learned from him. And my movie was releasing 2 days later, and it was like quite literally because I've learned from these people. So they have taken the film, movies were made in studios before that, like huge lights, which they were like, so what they did was these were actually film critics.
Okay.
Francois Truffaut and all of them. So they took that, they took the movies to the common man.
Okay.
They just took a camera and started shooting on the streets. So I come from that
Okay.
film school. So if you watch Lucia also, we shot on the streets without any huge drama about it. And I feel that brings that brings the cinema closer to the people.
Okay.
So I think it's so ingrained in me that even for a film like VTK, which has a big star, I could still continue doing that, which is why I think the characters are so relatable to the audience.
Okay. Sir, you're telling about Mallipu. It's been on trend for the past 2 days. நான் இப்போ கூட ஒரு 1 hour முன்னாடி பார்த்தேன், பிருந்தா மாஸ்டர் வந்து behind the scene போட்டிருந்தாங்க. behind the scene அந்த வீடியோ மேக்கிங் வீடியோ போட்டிருந்தாங்க. ஷார்ட் முடிஞ்சதுக்கப்புறம் பயங்கர கிளாஸ். ஸோ அப்போவே they came to know that இந்த பர்டிகுலர் சீக்வன்ஸ் வந்து பயங்கர ஹிட் ஆகிடும் அப்படின்ட்டு. ஸோ who chose that? அது சிங்கிள் ஷாட்டில் போகலாம். who choreographed that particular?
Yeah, so what happened was that, like I said, to go back to where we started, so the thing is that the first part of the film was in Tiruchendur. That, the whole forest and forest fire and all of that. So that was one segment. And we shot the film linearly. From beginning to end. So it was like we were also journeying with Muthu.
இது முன்னாடி இப்படி பண்ணியிருக்கீங்களா? the first time linear ஷூட் பண்ணுறது?
I think this is the first one where because I didn't know the story,
Oh, okay.
So earlier, I didn't know the story. I know the beginning, middle, and at theriyum. Ana, the nitty-gritties of the story was like I was also journeying with it. And I think everybody just went along with it. And it was, it was...
Mallipu thing, sir.
Yeah. So basically what happened was that as we were coming up with new ways to film, one thing about me is that I do 360 degrees lighting. So it means that if the character is in dark, he's in dark. It's like, I won't put a light there and, palichana, I don't want to see the face. Because that is the space, like it coming back to architecture, right? So I believe that, I have to light up organically in the space, in the light, I'm just emulating that whatever is supposed to be the lighting. For example, here there's only one door there, so that's where the light will come from for me, right? So I think at some point I think we started getting into the single take things, and initially it was a 1-minute scene, then it became like by the end, by the time Mallipu came, so I said, okay, let's do it in a single take. And I was like, how is it possible? Who's going to execute it, because I have never done it. So I think in a good way, I was shocked and I didn't have time to react. I just went with it.
ஸ்டோரியில இருந்து எதுலமே ரியாக்ட் பண்றதுக்கே
டைமே இல்ல. It's just and also I was also new to the team, right? I don't know how they work. I come from a different school. So I was also okay, I really didn't have time to react. And for example, I'll tell you one of the biggest challenges for Mallipu is that so my lighting came from the windows. And if you look at the parota shop, there are the windows and one big door where Padman sits. அவர்
சிம்பு என்ட்ரு ஆகி
அந்த ஒரு டோர் இருக்கும், இந்த கார்னர்ல ஒரு டோர் இருக்கும் இல்லையா, the song
ஆமா,
starts
வெளில
from that
correct. Yeah.
balcony.
ஆமா.
So I would put my lights from outside, right, and there are lights on the top basically which will give an ambient. In the depth மட்டும் வெளிய இருந்து வருது basically. Okay. So just before the scene starts, it's more of like the light is coming from the windows, but if the camera starts moving, right, shadows vandrum,
correct,
right. So the challenge was to change from that but if I close the windows, then it will become a soft light, appo shadows varadu, right. So if you see the scene, it starts from Padman's face, goes to some of the characters who are dancing before going to Simbu. அந்த நேரத்துல there was somebody who comes and closes the windows
okay
in order to avoid the shadows.
Okay.
So by the time the camera comes here, it looks natural.
Okay.
So just till that point, so we had to do all these things. Otherwise, it's simply not possible to do a single take. Because one of the biggest challenges is the camera shadows.
Correct.
In hiding the
Right.
See, the camera is there. You can't avoid it. The camera has to move, right? But if the camera has to move, the shadow of the camera cannot be on the actors. How do you do that?
So staging, you have done a different staging.
Yeah, that was the biggest challenge for me in Mallipu song. Basically, it was like even the stunt sequence, one of the toughest sequences because. Do you want to talk about it now?
I actually want to ask you, single take போகும்போது அந்த இன்ட்ரோல் ஷாட் வந்து கீழே இருந்து அடிக்கும், அந்த ஒரு டேப் உடையும், தண்ணி திருப்பி போவார், ஒருத்தவரை உடச்சி தள்ளி விட்டுட்டு அங்கே ஒரு 2 seconds பாஸ் இருக்கும், திருப்பி க்ளோஸ் வரும், அங்கே பயந்து நிற்பார், ஏன்டா அடிச்சிட்டோங்கிற, அதாவது ஒரு ப்ராப்பர் ஃபைட்டர் இல்லை. ஸோ அவர் ஊர்லேருந்து வந்தவர். ஸோ அதில் ஒரு இது இருந்தது, ஒரு நரேட்டிவ் இருந்தது, உங்கள் கோரியோகிராஃபி பியூட்டிஃபுல்லாக இருந்தது. ஸோ அந்த லைட்டு I want to ask you actually.
Yeah, so Lee Whitaker, the stunt choreographer of the film, he's great, and he has this beautiful rig, Orion is and he only operates the camera. He doesn't let anybody. Orion.
Okay.
It's like a carbon fiber actually. He designed it by himself, and he likes to operate his own camera, and I let it, And there was also the camera comes out of the window, right? So there's something called a handoff. So I was standing outside the window on a ramp.
Okay.
And I take the camera out of the window and then like walk across and give it back to him, and he goes back.
Okay.
So it's like it was like a proper choreographed thing. And there were lights also. There were lights outside the window. When I was outside the window, the lights have to turn off. And then as I go in, the lights have to turn on. So it's like a superbly choreographed thing. And one of the biggest challenges for me was downstairs. And see, all this has to happen in darkness. We place some lights wherever it is important to be seen. Wherever Simbu's face was important to be seen, there we place the lights on the top. And again, like I said, the windows were closed and open and all of that. And obviously, if I look out of the window, I shouldn't see any light. Correct, yeah.
Correct.
So it was. I think, I don't know. Sometimes when I look back, I'm like, how did this happen? But at that moment, you are so in it. I think that's the beauty of art, that you can really delve deep into the form, and you're constantly thinking about ideas, and obviously the people around you also help you. I have to give thanks to my crew, because my gimbal operator, focus puller, they had to become invisible. Lightmen.
Correct.
Literally, even though they're there, they had to become invisible, otherwise it will be broken. And the moment will be broken.
And then again, you can't do the whole sequence.
Yeah, we did it, I think, we did almost like 3 to 4 times or something. I think 4th time was what we locked it.
அந்த ஒரு சீன் கூட போய் வெளில போயிட்டு கன் எடுத்துட்டு வந்து சுடணும் இல்லையா, மேல வச்சு பாருங்க கன்.
So hiding the lights was my biggest challenge, and then like camera operation was another big challenge, and also to light up just enough. It shouldn't, if it becomes too dark, then audience can't see anything.
Okay.
So just about enough to create that mood.
Okay.
So and we had to light up the whole building and hide the lights. So that's another big thing. And then
cinematography பார்க்கும்போது ரொம்ப மியூசிக்கையும் தாண்டி ரொம்ப இன்டென்ஸா இருக்கு.
I think for a cinematographer, he takes off.
ஜாஃபரோட ஷாட் இருக்குல்ல, அந்த ஸ்லாப்லேருந்து குதிக்கிறது, அந்த சலூனில் உட்காந்துருக்கும் போது திரும்பி ஒரு ஆளை வெட்டுவார், அதெல்லாம் ஃப்ராக்ஷன் ஆஃப் செகண்டில் முடிஞ்சிருது.
Because we are only reacting to what we see.
கோவப்படுவார் செட்டில்.
உங்களுக்கு பிடிச்ச ஸ்மார்ட் ஃபீச்சர்ஸ் டிவிஎஸ் ஸ்டார் சிட்டி பிளஸ்.